The sky was gray, full of heavy clouds. Snowflakes fell slowly at first, then faster. The cold wind blew across the dead land, sharp like knives. A young alien mother walked through the snow, holding her tiny child close to her chest. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes tired and full of pain. She had not eaten in 2 days. Her lips were cracked, her feet were bleeding. But she kept walking. She didn't care about the pain. She only wanted her child to live behind her, far away. Smoke still rose from what was left of her village. Machines had attacked without warning. They came from the sky, loud and full of fire. They burned homes, destroyed crops, and killed everyone they saw. She had escaped into the forest, running with her baby. Now she was here, in the white wasteland with nothing but hope. The cold was not normal. It was worse than anything she had ever felt. This planet was dying just like her people. She looked down at her baby, who was no more than 1 year old. His small body was quiet now, too tired to cry. She wrapped him tighter in her old cloth. Her hands shook, but she whispered softly, "Just a little more, little one, just a little more." She found a cave between 2 icy hills. It was broken and open to the wind, but at least it was not moving. She crawled inside, her legs too weak to stand. She sat against the wall and pulled her baby close. Inside the cave, the wind still found small holes. It whistled like ghosts, cold and sad. The mother closed her eyes for a moment. Her body felt heavy, her heart beat slow. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I tried." She looked at her baby one last time. The child's skin was turning a soft purple from the cold. She took off her outer cloth and wrapped it around him. Now she was only in a thin dress, but her child was warm in her arms. She smiled weakly and closed her eyes. "Sleep now," she said. "Just sleep." Everything became dark. She heard nothing but the sound of snow hitting the rocks. Time stopped, but then something touched her face. Warmth, real warmth, not from a dream. Her eyes opened slightly, her vision blurry. She saw a light, a fire dancing nearby, and a figure. A man, tall, human. He had short black hair and a strong face. He was wrapping a heavy coat around her. His hands moved quickly, checking her pulse, her breath. He picked up the baby and touched his neck gently. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a small bottle. He placed a few drops in the child's mouth. He looked serious but calm. The mother blinked again, trying to speak, but her lips were frozen. No words came out. She wanted to ask, who was he? Where did he come from? Why was a human here on this cold, dead world? The man didn't speak much. He built a fire fast, using strange tools from his pack. Small metal pieces clicked together. And suddenly there was heat. Real heat, not just a flame, but something strong and powerful. He placed the baby near the warmth. He rubbed the mother's arms to bring her back from the edge. She coughed once, then twice, and her body began to feel again. Her heart started beating faster. He poured warm water into a small cup and held it to her lips. She drank slowly, her eyes watching him. He didn't look dangerous, but he also didn't smile. He looked like someone carrying a secret. For a long time they sat in silence. The baby started breathing better. The fire made the cave glow with orange light. The storm outside still screamed. But inside there was peace. The mother looked at the man. Confused, thankful, scared. Who was he? Why had he saved her? She had been ready to die. But now, because of the stranger, she was still alive. She whispered with a shaky voice, "Who are you?" The man looked at her for a moment, then turned his eyes to the fire and said, "Someone who's been looking for you." The fire cracked softly in the cave, sending warm light across the cold stone walls. The snowstorm outside still screamed like a wild animal. But inside, things were calm now. The alien mother sat close to the fire, wrapped in a thick human coat that smelled of metal and earth. Her baby slept peacefully beside her. His face no longer blue, but her eyes stayed wide open. Not because of fear, because of confusion. Across from her sat the man, the human. He moved carefully, almost like a soldier or a hunter. His coat was heavy, his boots thick and full of dust and ice. His eyes were sharp but tired, like he had seen too much. He had said only one thing, "I've been looking for you." She didn't speak for a long time, just stared at him. Why would a human search for her? Her kind had nothing left, no power, no homes, no weapons. Humans were not enemies anymore, but they were not friends either. Most had left this planet when the war ended. Yet here he was in the middle of a snow-covered wasteland, with fire tools, strange gadgets, and a warm drink that tasted like honey and smoke. Her voice was soft, her throat still dry as she whispered, "Who are you really?" The man didn't answer at first. He looked at the baby, then at the fire. Then he took a small metal box from his coat and placed it gently between them. It lit up with a quiet hum and showed a small blue light. A hologram appeared, blurry, but clear enough it showed her holding her baby, standing at the edge of a burned village. The image moved, showing fire behind her, and tears on her cheeks. She gasped and pulled the child closer. How do you have this?" she asked. The man's voice was calm but deep. "That's the last time I saw you." She blinked in shock. "But I never met you." He nodded slowly. "No, you didn't. But I saw you from the sky. I was part of the rescue ship sent to scan this planet 3 years ago. My team found only ruins," he said. "But one drone caught a flash of you before it died." His fingers touched the glowing box, and the image disappeared. "I knew you were alive. Somewhere," he said. "I couldn't forget. I left the program, sold my things, and came back to find you." The mother looked down, her heart confused. No one had ever done this for her before, not even her own people. "But why?" she asked, voice cracking. "Why me?" The man took a long breath. "Because when I saw that recording, I didn't just see an alien mother. I saw someone who refused to give up. Even in fire, even in death, you ran with your child. You were hope, and I needed hope." Silence filled the cave again. The wind outside softened for a moment, as if listening. The mother looked at her sleeping child. Was this real, or was she still dreaming in the snow? Suddenly the man stood up and moved to the cave entrance. He scanned the outside with a round device, then came back quickly. "They're closer than I thought," he said quietly. "Who?" she asked, her voice shaking again. "The same machines that burned your village," he answered. Her eyes widened, fear returning fast. "I thought they were gone," she whispered. He shook his head. "Some are still here like ghosts. They kill anything warm, anything moving." She hugged her child tightly again. The man threw snow over the fire, killing the light. Darkness filled the cave as the last flames died. Then he opened his coat and pulled out a folded blanket that glowed faintly. He wrapped the baby in it, and the glow warmed the child without burning. He turned to her and whispered, "We move at dawn." "Why not now?" she asked, scared. "They have heat sensors," he replied. "And you're not strong enough to run yet." She wanted to cry, but her tears were dry. She looked at the man again, unsure if she could trust him, yet her heart said something else. "You're still alive because of him." He leaned against the wall with one hand on a strange metal weapon. His eyes didn't close, not even for a second. He watched the cave opening like a guard protecting a queen. As she lay down beside her baby, her mind spun with questions. Who was he really? Why did he care so much? What was he hiding? She closed her eyes for just a moment. Sleep pulled her down like a heavy wave, but before she lost full awareness, she heard him whisper again. Soft, careful, like a secret. Tomorrow. She must know the truth. The cold outside grew stronger, but the cave remained still. The fire was gone, yet a strange warmth remained. It came from the glowing blanket the man had wrapped around the baby. The mother lay close, her body tired, her mind full of questions. The human man, still a mystery, sat near the cave wall, awake and alert. He did not speak, but every few minutes his eyes scanned the shadows. He held a small black device in one hand and a silver weapon in the other. He looked like someone waiting for something or someone. The mother woke just as the pale light of dawn touched the edge of the sky. Snowflakes drifted outside the cave entrance like falling stars. Her body ached less now, though hunger still lived inside her. She looked at her child, sleeping peacefully under the glowing cloth. The warmth had saved him, but it was not from her world. She turned her eyes to the man. "Is it morning?" He nodded slowly. "It's time to move." She sat up and whispered, "Before we go, I need to know more." He paused, then placed a small silver cup in front of her. It was filled with a warm liquid that smelled like herbs and honey. She drank it slowly and felt life return to her fingers and lips. "You said you've been looking for me," she said. "But you never said why." He didn't answer. Instead, pulled out a piece of cloth from his coat. It was old, brown, and worn. On it was a hand-drawn picture of her child, but different. The child in the drawing had small silver wings, glowing eyes, and a symbol on his chest. Her hands shook as she held the cloth. What is this?" she asked, voice breaking. The man's face was calm, but his voice was serious. "This is what I saw in a dream," he said. "2 years before I found your image," she looked up, confused. "You dreamed of him?" "Yes," the man replied, "and not just once, again and again. I saw this child with wings, always in danger, always in cold, but never alone. A man was always with him, protecting him." The mother placed her hand on her child's chest. "What does it mean?" she asked, almost afraid of the answer. The man leaned closer. "Your child is not just a survivor. He may be something more." She shook her head. "He's just a baby, my baby, but deep inside, something stirred, a memory when he was born." Strange lights had appeared in the sky for 3 nights. Old women whispered blessings they never explained. And once his small body had glowed softly in the dark. Just for a moment before she could speak, a loud noise cracked in the distance like thunder. The man stood quickly, pulling her behind a rock wall near the cave's entrance. He held his silver weapon tightly, scanning the horizon. "What is it?" she whispered. "Scout drone," he replied. "Same type that destroyed your village." A black shape flew across the sky, small but deadly. It had blinking red lights and long, thin wings. It hovered for a moment, then turned away and vanished into the clouds. The man let out a breath. "It didn't see us, but it will return. We have to leave now." He handed her a light bag, soft, but filled with supplies. "Put the child in the sling," he said. "We'll take the river path." She hesitated. "The river is frozen." He looked at her. "That's the point." They stepped out into the snow, their footprints quickly covered by fresh flakes. The man moved fast, like someone who knew this land well. She followed, holding her child tight. The ice crunched under their boots as they reached the edge of a frozen river. "Walk only where I walk," he warned. "The ice is thin in some places." He placed a small round device on the ice. It lit up green, showing the safest path as they crossed. The mother felt the silence of the world around them. No birds, no wind, just the soft sound of their steps. Then far behind, a scream broke the stillness. Metal, sharp, inhuman. She turned back, eyes wide. "They found the cave," the man said. "We have less than 10 minutes. They ran now." Each step dangerous, but there was no choice. The man led them toward a rock wall with strange markings. He pressed his hand to the stone, and a door appeared. A secret shelter hidden deep inside the cliff inside. Lights turned on by themselves, soft and warm. Machines hummed gently. The walls were made of old tech, forgotten by both humans and aliens. This place had not been touched for years, maybe longer. He looked at her and said, "This is the only safe place left on this planet." She held her baby close, still breathing hard. Then she asked the question again. "What is my child, really?" The man looked at her, eyes full of something heavy, like guilt and wonder at the same time. "I think," he said slowly, "your child is the last piece of something ancient, something powerful." The shelter door closed behind them with a soft hum. For the first time, the wind could not reach them. The air inside was warm, clean, and filled with a strange, quiet energy. Lights along the walls flickered slowly, showing symbols she didn't understand. The mother held her baby close, her heart still beating fast from the run. The man walked deeper into the room. Touching a control panel covered in dust, it came alive at his touch. Glowing with blue lines, old technology, human and alien mixed together. He turned to her and said softly, "This place is older than both our worlds. It was built during the First Contact War, when humans and your kind fought together. Before everything went wrong." She looked around, eyes wide. "Then why is it still here?" she asked. "Because no one remembers it," he said. "It was erased from both histories." He walked toward a small table. On it lay broken devices half covered in frost. He wiped one clean. It showed a hologram of people, human and alien, working together, smiling, building something huge behind them, a city of light. The mother couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her people had told stories of humans bringing war, but here they looked like builders, not destroyers. "What happened?" she asked quietly. The man sighed. "Fear happened. When both sides learned how powerful they could be together, they became afraid. Leaders on both worlds decided to separate the races forever." He looked at her. "And your ancestors were left to die on this frozen planet?" She held her child tighter, anger and sadness mixing in her chest. "So this is our grave," she whispered. "No," he said. "Not anymore." He pointed to a strange device in the corner, It looked like a cradle made of glass and metal. "This is what I came here to find," he said. The ancient files called it the Cradle of Dawn. He walked closer, his fingers brushing its cold surface. It was built to create a new being, part human, part alien, someone who could survive both worlds and unite them again. She froze, her breath catching, her eyes dropped to her baby, who slept peacefully in her arms. "What are you saying?" she whispered. The man turned to her, his voice quiet but heavy. "I think your child is the one they were waiting for." She shook her head. "That's impossible. I'm just a villager. I never even left my home planet." He smiled sadly. "Maybe it wasn't about who you were, but who your child would become." For a moment, silence filled the air. Only the soft hum of old machines broke it. Then suddenly, a faint glow appeared under the baby's blanket. The same symbol from the drawing, the silver wings, was glowing on his chest. The mother gasped and looked at the man. He stared in awe, whispering, "It's real." The prophecy was right. "What prophecy?" she asked, trembling. He took out a small tablet and opened a file. An old voice echoed through the room, a recording from long ago. "When the world is frozen and two races are broken, a child of both stars will rise, his warmth will heal the cold. His breath will wake the dead lands, and his heart will burn brighter than any sun." The recording ended, leaving silence so deep she could hear her heartbeat. She looked at her son again, tears forming in her eyes. She remembered how the sky had glowed when he was born, how he had never gotten sick even when others froze, maybe. It was true. Before she could speak, the wall screen flashed red. The man turned quickly, his face changing. "They found us," he said sharply. A small camera feed appeared. Machines moving fast through the snow. "How?" she cried. He grabbed his pack. They were following the heat trail from the baby's glow. He pulled out a small cube and pressed it. The shelter began to shift, the floor moving, the walls rotating. A hidden door opened under the table, showing a staircase leading down. "This place has deeper levels," he said. "Old labs. Maybe tunnels. We can hide there." He handed her a small device. "Stay close. This will block his heat signal." She followed him down the stairs, her hands trembling. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Old lights flickered weakly as they passed strange machines sleeping under the dust. Then they reached a chamber with a large circular gate. Symbols glowed faintly on its edge. "What is this?" she asked. "The last gate of the cradle," he said. "Maybe it leads to the place the prophecy spoke of, the warm lands beneath the ice." She stared at the gate, unsure whether to believe or run. Behind them, the sound of metal footsteps echoed from above. The machines were coming, closer with every second. The man turned to her and said quietly, "If I don't make it through, take him and run through the gate." She shook her head. "No, we go together." He smiled weakly. "That's what I hoped you'd say." He placed his hand on the gate's center. Light burst out, filling the room with gold and blue fire. The baby stirred in her arms and opened his eyes, glowing bright silver. The machines broke through the upper door. Their red lights flashing, the man shouted, "Go, now!" The gate roared open, wind pulling everything forward. The mother clutched her child and stepped into the light. Behind her, explosions echoed, the shelter collapsing. And then everything went white. The world had changed when she opened her eyes. She was no longer in the cold, dark shelter. She lay on soft grass under a strange, glowing sky. The air was warm, filled with the smell of sweet fruit and flowers she had never seen before. Her baby slept peacefully in her arms, and his body no longer shivered. She sat up slowly, her fingers touching the soft green ground. It was warm like skin, breathing like the land itself was alive above her. The sky was not blue, but a glowing mix of gold and green. Two suns hung in the air, one large and one small, spinning slowly like watching eyes. "Where am I?" she whispered. She turned, looking for the man, but he was gone. No footsteps, no coat, no voice calling her name. Only wide hills and strange trees with silver leaves moving gently in the wind. Her heart began to beat faster. Had he been left behind? Did he survive the explosion? She stood up, her legs still weak. The sling held her child close as she moved forward. In the distance, something shined. White stone buildings rising from the hills. They looked empty, ancient, almost like ruins of a lost world. As she walked, she noticed something strange. The land didn't feel dead or broken. Like her own planet had become, it felt. Waiting. as if it had been asleep for a long time and now sensed her arrival. Birds flew overhead with glowing wings, singing soft songs. Crystal rivers flowed nearby, humming like music, but something in the wind made her stop. A sound too sharp to be natural, too cold. She turned quickly and looked at the sky. There, above the clouds, a black shape moved fast, silent, a drone. Her breath caught in her throat. "How?" she whispered. "How did it follow us here?" The place felt hidden, secret, but the enemy had found it too. The drone flew lower, red lights flashing under its belly. It scanned the land. Turning toward the sound of the baby's soft cry, she ran, her feet pounding the grass, heart racing. The trees moved around her like they understood her fear. Branches opened to clear a path, closing again behind her. She ducked into an old stone hall with cracked walls and vines climbing everywhere. The drone stopped above the hall, scanning, searching. She crouched under a broken arch, whispering gently to her child, "Shh! We're safe, don't cry, just stay with me." Then, a loud crack broke the air. A beam of red energy hit the ground where she had stood seconds before. The drone had found them. She grabbed a sharp piece of stone and threw it with all her strength. It hit the drone's side but bounced off. The machine turned, its red eye glowing brighter. Suddenly, bang! A blast hit the drone from above, tearing one of its wings off. It spun wildly and crashed into a distant hill with fire and smoke. She turned, shocked. There, standing at the top of the hill, was the man. His coat was torn, his arm bleeding, but his weapon still smoked from the shot. He ran toward her, falling once but getting up again. "You made it," she cried, her voice breaking. He smiled weakly. "So did you." She helped him sit against a stone wall. His face was pale, blood dripping from his shoulder. "They followed us," he said, "the drones. Maybe more will come." She looked at the green sky, fear returning. "If this place is meant to protect us, why can they still reach us?" He coughed, then whispered, "Because this place is not complete yet. It's a seed, not a shelter." She stared at him, confused. He explained slowly. "This world, this warm land beneath the ice, was made long ago. It waits for the chosen child to wake it fully. Your son," he said. "He's the key." As if hearing his name, the baby opened his eyes. They glowed again, silver and bright, and suddenly, the stone floor beneath them lit up with ancient symbols. The vines on the wall began to bloom. Water flowed through cracks that were dry a moment ago, and a soft sound echoed in the air, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. The man smiled, even in pain. "He's already starting it," he said. "He's waking the world," but before she could respond, the ground shook. A giant ship appeared in the sky, black. Long covered in red lights, it hovered above the hills. Silent but deadly, the man grabbed her hand. "You must run again." She shook her head. "I won't leave you." He looked into her eyes. "You don't understand. They don't want to just kill him. They want to use him." Her blood turned cold. "They want to take his power and twist it," he continued. "Turn this peaceful world into a weapon." She looked down at her baby, still glowing, but now with fear in his tiny eyes. "I'll protect him," she said firmly. "With everything I have." The man nodded slowly, then reached into his coat. He gave her a small round device, glowing blue. "This will lead you to the heart of this world," he said. "Take him there. And maybe, just maybe, he can finish what was started centuries ago." As the ship above began to open its docking bays, the mother turned, child in her arms, device in hand. She ran toward the hills, glowing with golden light. While behind her, the man raised his weapon one last time. The golden hills were fading behind her. The sky turned darker as the massive enemy ship hovered above the surface. Red beams searched the land, sweeping left and right, looking for any heat. She ran without stopping, her child held tight against her chest. The small blue device the man gave her glowed in her hand. It showed a simple arrow, always pointing forward. She didn't know what waited at the end, but she trusted him. His words echoed in her mind. "The heart of this world is the only safe place left." Snow returned as she crossed the edge of the warm land. Here the ground was cold again, cracked and gray, but the arrow still pointed ahead toward a wide stone gate half buried in frost. She reached it, breathless, and pressed her hand to the frozen surface. At first nothing happened. Then the baby reached out and touched it too. The symbol on his chest flashed, and the door cracked open with a deep rumble. A blast of warm air escaped, and glowing steps appeared leading downward. She looked up one last time. The enemy ship was turning toward her direction again without waiting. She stepped into the passage and the stone gate closed behind her. Darkness wrapped around them, but small lights lit the tunnel with a soft gold color. She walked slowly, her legs shaking, her arms tired but strong from fear. The walls of the tunnel were smooth and warm. Old carvings glowed faintly, showing shapes of stars, people, trees, and something like wings. Her child looked at the glowing walls and touched them. Each time his tiny hand passed over a carving, it lit up even brighter. He giggled softly. Not afraid, not even tired. The mother smiled for just a moment. But then a sound behind them, soft metal scraping against stone. Her smile vanished. She turned sharply, holding her breath. Nothing. Only shadows, but she knew what she heard. They had followed her in. She picked up speed, walking faster down the tunnel. The device still pointed forward, deeper and deeper. The lights around her grew brighter with each step, like the tunnel was waking up. But so was something else. A whisper. Not in her ears, but in her mind, a voice soft and old. He is near. The child of warmth. The seed of union. She froze, staring at the glowing wall beside her. Who said that? She whispered. But the baby only giggled again, as if he heard it too. She kept walking, heart pounding now, not from fear but from wonder. Was this planet alive? Was it speaking to her? Suddenly the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. She stepped inside, eyes wide, breath stolen. The room was shaped like a heart. Red and gold light pulsed slowly from the walls. Like a heartbeat, in the center was a floating platform, surrounded by broken machines and ancient roots. Above it a sphere floated, spinning slowly, made of crystal and energy, and below it, deep in the center of the floor, was a cradle, glowing softly, waiting. The device in her hand beeped once, then powered off. They had reached the place. She took a step forward, then stopped. Metal footsteps echoed behind her. She turned. 3 enemy drones stood in the tunnel. Their red eyes glowing, weapons raised. She backed away, arms tightening around her child. One of the drones spoke in a cold voice. "You have something we need, alien female. Give it to us." She said nothing, her back now almost against the floating platform. The drones moved slowly, not rushing. They wanted the child alive, she could feel it. Not to protect him, but to control him. One drone stepped forward. Raising a clawed hand, she closed her eyes, whispering, "I'm sorry, little one." But before the drone could reach her, the air changed. A powerful hum filled the chamber. The baby's chest glowed like fire, brighter than ever. A wave of light burst from his tiny body, throwing the drones backward. The floating platform lit up, lifting her into the air. The cradle opened below her and golden vines reached out. Soft, glowing, gentle. They wrapped around her child, not to take him away, but to hold him like family. The cradle pulled him gently in, and he floated in its heart, eyes still glowing. Symbols lit up all around the chamber. The machines on the ground tried to rise, but cracked and melted from the warmth. The drones screamed, short, sharp, robotic cries. One by one they collapsed, their systems frozen by heat. Her baby floated silently in the cradle, peaceful, powerful, protected. The mother fell to her knees, breathless, her eyes full of tears, not from fear, but from awe. He was no longer just her son, he was something more, something the world had waited for. From the walls, that soft voice returned. "The seed has entered the heart. Healing will begin, but danger still remains." The golden light dimmed slowly, the cradle closing like a flower around the child. She stepped forward, placing her hand on its glowing surface. Her heart whispered a promise. "I'll never leave you, not even if the sky falls." But deep in the tunnels above, more machines were coming, and far away, the ship in the sky had sent something worse, something human-made. But not human at all. The chamber was quiet. The golden cradle pulsed gently like a sleeping heart. The mother stood beside it, her hand still resting on the glowing shell that now held her child. Everything around her had gone still. The old voice of the world had fallen silent. She could hear only her breathing and the low hum of the cradle's light. But the peace didn't last. Far above, something heavy moved. The ceiling trembled, and dust fell from the high stone walls. A sound echoed down the tunnel, slow footsteps, heavy, cold. Something was coming. She turned, eyes wide. It wasn't another drone. It was something worse. A tall figure entered the chamber, its body half metal, half flesh, a man's face. but hollow eyes, its skin was pale like ice, and its metal arm clicked with each step. The mother stepped back slowly, her voice shook. "What are you?" The creature spoke, its voice echoing with both man and machine. "I was the first human sent to find the seed, but when I touched the heart, it changed me. I became its guardian." "And its prisoner," she looked at it in horror. "Why are you here now?" "Because the seed is awake," it said, eyes flashing red, "and someone must decide how the world will begin again." She stepped in front of the cradle. "I won't let you touch him," she said firmly. The creature tilted its head. "It is not your choice." "Mother!" Then suddenly light burst from the cradle. The child floated into the air, his small body glowing brighter than ever. His eyes were open, and he looked at the creature without fear. The chamber shook again, but it was not from danger, it was from power. The child raised one small hand and the walls began to sing. A soft sound like bells in the wind. Ancient machines woke all around, not for war, but for peace. The old systems of the world began to glow. The planet was listening to him. The creature froze. It looked at the child with confusion and fear. He should not be able to do this yet. The mother stepped beside her son. "You were wrong," she whispered. "He's not just the seed. He's the answer." The creature took one last step forward, then stopped. The child's light wrapped around it. Not to destroy, but to show. Images filled the air. Of the past. The wars, the pain, and then a future. One where humans and aliens lived together. Not in battle, but in balance. The creature gasped, his metal arm twitching. Something inside him remembered. "I had a daughter," he whispered, broken. "Before the war. She looked just like him." The light around the creature grew brighter, and slowly the metal began to crack. Flesh returned. His eyes filled with tears for the first time in many years. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. "Forgive me," he said. The child floated down gently and touched his shoulder. Warmth spread through the chamber like morning sun. The mother wept silently, not from fear, not from pain, but from something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. The cradle opened fully now. The golden vines pulled back, and the floor below lit up with a glowing path. The child stepped forward, still holding the man's hand. The earth above began to crack, but not from war, from rebirth. Sunlight poured in as the ceiling broke open, and beyond it, a sky filled with new colors. Soft pinks, bright gold, deep blue, the sky of a world waking up. The mother followed her child to the surface. The air was clean, the snow had melted. Flowers were already growing from the soft ground. She turned to the man who had helped her. He was standing nearby, alive, hurt but smiling. "You did it," he said. She nodded slowly. "No." He did. The child looked at the new world before him. The light in his eyes dimmed, returning to normal, but the warmth stayed. And the old voice returned, soft, gentle, kind. "The seed has chosen peace. The guardian has remembered love. The world shall be born again." Birds filled the sky. Rivers flowed again, and life returned to the forgotten land. The mother held her child close one more time. She remembered the cold night, the broken cave, the moment she gave up. And now she stood under a golden sun, with her son in her arms, not as a refugee, not as a victim, but as a mother of the one who saved two worlds.